The GCMS is an extension from GCMS, which is gas chromatography mass spectrometry, where we analyze samples for their volatile and semi-volatile compounds. The extra MS in GCMS lets us take this one step further and analyze them to greater detail and more cleanly. The methods and applications where GCMS really shines and is of best use are ones with complex matrices and analytes. So for example of that would be the EPA 8270, and that method there is a very complex one where we analyze things like organochlorines, organophosphates, phenols, PAHs, phthalates, PCBs. So it contains over 300 compounds in total. It's a very complicated method, and GCMS really shines with this and its ability to analyze those compounds at very low levels in complex matrix. Shimadzu GCMS instruments offer greater sensitivity than our GCMS instruments by filtering out background matrix or interferences from co-eluting compounds. This allows us to inject less onto the column, which results in less injection port, column, or MS maintenance. We achieve these advantages through a very inert injection port and additional filtering the specifically designed UFMS collision cell and extra quadrupole allow. We also use a very robust ion source, and our GCMS uses pre-rods. This additional hardware allows for much greater noise filtering and specificity in the masses we're looking at, and this means that we can have two different compounds with identical column retention times and parent masses, but in most cases we can easily and cleanly identify them and quantitate them where a single quad GCMS may struggle. UFMS, or ultra-fast mass spectrometry, is a term coined by Shimadzu. It's technology-based and focused around acquisition speed, sensitivity, and robust operation. It encompasses a number of key hardware designs, one of which is the collision cell, which has UF sweeper, where we apply a voltage from the front of the collision cell to the rear of the collision cell to actively sweep away residual ions and speed up the entire acquisition process. We do this without compromising the sensitivity. We also have ASSP, or Advanced Scanning Speed Protocol, where we increase the voltage again, but this time on the quadrupole during high-speed scanning. This allows the Shimadzu GCMS instruments to scan at speeds of up to 20,000 AMU per second in 0.1 AMU increments without mass shift. UFMS allows the GCMS to alternate between scan, MRM, and SIM at very high speeds. What this means is that all of these acquisition types can be acquired during a single analysis. Therefore, we can perform targeted and untargeted screening at the same time. So we can quantitate off the SIM or the MRM, and we can perform library searching or deconvolution of the scan data. My experience has shown me in laboratories that this is a very common request where people are doing drug screening. They'll have a huge list of drug compounds that they actually want to look for, but they'll want to do full scanning to look for those things that people are trying to sneak through, the other illicit drugs. So the Shimadzu range of GCMS instruments can not only replace your single quad GCMS instruments in your lab, but also instruments like ECDs or FIDs, and in some cases even TCDs. Shimadzu use a very large turbomolecular pump in our GCMS and MSMS instruments. This allows us to simultaneously connect two columns to the mass spec from separate injection ports. You could have one column connected from a standard splitless injection port and a second one from a PTV or even a purge and trap. This means we don't have to vent the MS to swap columns. You can simply change them in the method. The large turbo also means that if for some reason you did have to vent MS, say to clean the ion source, you'd be back up and running in 2 hours. The economic benefits of using a GCMS over a GC or GCMS is from a cost-saving perspective, the GCMS methods are often 30 to 50% shorter in runtime, and we can even combine 4 or 5 existing GCMS methods into a single GCMS method. This results in much higher sample throughput and a massive increase in efficiency. This additional time saving in running samples is because the chromatograms are much cleaner with fewer interfering peaks, and the data processing time, therefore, is also much reduced. To summarize why GCMS is better than GCMS, first off, the Shimadzu GCMS instruments can analyze samples in exactly the same way that a GCMS would for full scan and SIM, with no impact to the spectral fidelity or library searching performance. And in addition to this, the extra MS capability means we can combine multiple analysis methods into a single method with shorter run times. An example of that would be pesticides analysis, where we're commonly analyzing over 200 pesticides in a 10 to 15 minute run, whereas by GCMS, these run times would be greater than 30 minutes, and in often the case, we wouldn't even be able to do it then. This massive decrease in background noise offered by the GCMS MRM analysis means we can achieve greater sensitivity and allows us to inject less sample onto the column, therefore less dirt is injected, meaning less overall instrument maintenance. You need to be mindful that not all GCMS instruments are created equally. The UFMS technology in Shimadzu's GCMS instruments mean we can make the most of new narrowbore columns. We're often using 20 meter 0.18 or 20 meter 0.15 columns these days. These columns give greatly improved peak separation and in a reduced time frame. They also have lower background bleed just because they're shorter in length. I personally have seen compounds like naphthalene analyzed on these columns with a width at base of 1 to 1.5 seconds. You will need a very fast scanning GCMS instrument like the Shimadzu ones to be able to acquire 15 to 20 data points across these peaks and give repeatable data at low detection levels. Lab Solutions Insight is Shimadzu's latest MS data processing software. It works with all of our GCMS instruments, our LCMS instruments, and even our high-res LCMS data. It can also work across a network, so you can process your data in your office rather than in front of the instrument. Lab Solutions Insight is a modern, flexible data processing software platform. Review by exception is where we use the Lab Solutions Insight software to screen samples using flagging. Flagging is something that we have in our software where we can apply fields to differentiate one sample or compound from another, things like retention time, ion ratio, minimal concentration. We can use these to cut down the number of chromatograms that you would have to look at. For example, if you had 100 samples for 100 analytes each, that could be 10,000 possible chromatograms that the analyst would have to review. Through using flagging, we may be able to cut this down to 10% of the samples having A positive, and then 10% of those positive samples actually having many compounds in them. So we might only have 100 chromatograms to look at rather than 10,000. This makes it much faster for analysts to process the data. What gets me most excited about the GCMS instruments from Shimadzu actually goes back to my days in the laboratory. The Shimadzu instruments genuinely excite me through their robustness, sensitivity, and diversity in what we can use them for. If I had to pick one feature though, it would be that UFMS allows me to combine multiple methods into a single analysis with much better data quality so I can process them more quickly. I'm a firm believer in working smarter, not harder.
Excellence in science. Shimadzu.